it sheds a negative light on their whole system. And when it does, when you look at the system as a whole, and you see it for what it is, and you see what they're capable of, and how they can change people's lives and destroy people's lives, now you have a situation where, you know, the key is like, why would we want to do that? You know, their scenario is really centered around the fact they would much rather, like in the police department, they would much rather protect the shield than to allow you to protect yourself. You know what I mean? So that's what we're dealing with. So I mean, you're looking at various levels of the same thing, back and forth, and it's really, you have to go back to the history, because one of the things that I looked at in reference to dealing with the whole discrimination thing was based on looking at the foundation of what law enforcement was based on. So, and if you look at it from that standpoint, you see it for what it really is. It was never centered around law enforcement. It was really centered around as a derivative of the slave catcher mentality of keeping the Negroes in place. So if you look at that, 80% of the crime in America are committed by white males ranging from the ages of 16 to 28 years old. So, but then you have 80% of the jails are filled up with people who look like us. So, and it's physically impossible to have 13 to 14% of the population commit 80% of the crime, or be arrested and charged for 80% of the crimes that they didn't even commit.
Now, this is something else I want you to think about, something I've seen on TV. And it said that slogan, serve and protect, was not something actually mandated. It was something that caught somebody's eye that was used in another department, because they usually watch everything from California and L.A., and they saw that.
Okay, so if you think about serve and protect is a facade. It's something that can be sold. It's something that can be marketed. So the key is this, to market the police department in a sense of, okay, well, fine, if you go against us, we're serve and protect. That's how they get the sympathy of the community at large. So that's what you're dealing with. But if you take it and you look at it for what it really is, it's really about power and control. It's never been about serve and protect at all.
Nope. And it was just a slogan. It didn't mean anything.
It's just a slogan.
It's just a slogan they decided to put on the side of cars.
It means absolutely nothing. So, you know, to have somebody say, okay, well, fine. When I went in the police department, I went in to serve and protect my community. So my thing was to basically help those who couldn't help themselves, you know, the older women in the neighborhood, the women, the children, things of that sort. And that's what I did, and I focused on that for years. So, but at the same time, you have people and officers that are doing things that you find, how can I put it, against the law, and then you tell on those people, and then they come after you instead of dealing with those situations. Look, I walked into Commissioner Frazier's office with a dossier of how IID was targeting certain groups of people in the police department to fire them, and laid it out in reference to the corruption, police corruption. Okay? Immediately the next week, I was the target of their investigation.
It's nothing like being a target of IID, Biscuit.
Just imagine being a member of a 3,500 member police department, and you feel like 3,499 are following you around every day.
Wow. And yes. Oh,
so that's
can I add something?
What you're dealing with.
Can I add something to that?
Go ahead.
When I was falsely accused of perjury because I told the truth as I was being called in for the defense to tell against some officers who had falsely accused someone else of murder, another black male, and two white officers, I told what I saw, and because I had no option, because the defense called me to the stand, and because I told the truth, the jury believed me and didn't believe the homicide detectives, didn't believe the police officers, didn't believe the state's attorney, and they said the man was not guilty on all three charges. Before the case was over, they came out in the hallway and instead told the state's attorney that I would be charged with perjury. I said, for what? I told what I saw. I never got in trouble a day in my life. Yeah. Well, and they harassed me for over 37 years.
Wow. Yeah, but here's the thing. The reality of that is really centered around the fact the only reason they targeted you is because you bumped their system. Their system is created to do the things that they want to do. And when you challenge them in their system, it does not allow them to do the things that they want to do. You bring negative light to them in the sense that now people are going to be looking at them a little differently. That's a problem for them.
Yeah.
So that's what you're dealing with in that particular situation. So, yeah, it's easier for them to target you. It's easier for them to come after me and target somebody like yourself than to sit back and change the rules and regulations of the police department and not allow these things to continue to go on. So that's the issue. So they take the path of least resistance to do that, and the path of least resistance to do that is you. You as an individual is easier to deal with than to sit back and deal with the whole 3,499 member squad. So that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't forget now, when you challenge them, you are always a rebel. You're always crazy. You always got psychological issues because that's how they make folks abandon you. We got one more call here.
Well, look, man, I'm gonna tell you all this, and this is one of the things I just want to express. There are several ways to do several things. Sometimes you have to take an indirect approach to an approach to get whatever it is you want to get across during that time. So, and what I mean by that is sometimes it's not to sit back and do the charges directly yourself, but have them done in a way that somebody has to investigate them. And then when they're investigated, then the things come to light. So the key is then you can actually follow paperwork to address those things in reference to reports and investigations during those times to address the things that are not being addressed during that particular time, and then you can come back later and use that information to help you in further in your case in the future in reference to what you're trying to do and enlightening everybody in reference to what's really going on. So that's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So I just said a lot there. So off the air, I can go into details in reference to how those things can be done, but that's the way that I dealt with a lot of my cases, and basically, and dealing with certain people to make sure certain things got done in those particular cases. That's the way it had to be done.
All righty, and we appreciate you, sir. How many years in law enforcement have you? You would say you were in for only 10.
I spent 10 years in Baltimore City, but, totally between law enforcement and private security, private investigation, whatever. It's been over 38 years. We're doing the same thing, fighting the fight, doing what's necessary to help other people be better people. That's it.
This is why I went out and reached out to you way down in Atlanta. And his immediate response was, yes. That's my buddy with you.
Yeah, so
I thought it was worth it.
It's a conversation, but the thing is, it's a conversation that needs to be had sometimes. I think really just a lot of people don't understand the validity of how things work in those particular situations. All we're trying to do is bring a light to them. This stuff goes on every day. You'll have police officers that listen to the same communication that we're having today and say that never happened. But of course they're going to say that because they have to protect the shield. Because
not only
if they weren't able to do the things they were able to do, what else would they do? I mean, the thing is, you have to understand, they're not the brightest bunch of people. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it at
that. I was a genius there. I had to actually help people as a rookie. I was helping veterans write their reports. Could you believe that?
Come on now.
I was still in the academy.
Look, man, I created, while in the police department, okay? While in the police department, 1 or 2 years old, one or 2 years in, I created a program that they call now DARE. And multiple, they having DARE programs in the schools. And Baltimore City would not allow me to go to elementary schools. I was working directly with the government to do it. And as a part of it, I sat back and went over these things to address the issues. And I told them that the kids that we were dealing with in the junior high level were already involved in the use and sale of the drugs to the point where it was beyond them. The only way that we could make a foothold in this particular situation was to address the kids at the elementary level. So I did that. I never did it for credit. I never did it to prove anything other than whatever I did to help people. From there, okay, we had our first All-Star game in Baltimore City at the Camden Yards, okay? I created, put together a program together, designed, centered around protecting citizens from other places, visitors and tourists coming into the city that they're not familiar with, and basically giving them direction. They call it the Downtown Partnership right now. That was the issue. Put it towards, send it to Mass Smoke, talk to them, whatever. What they did then is came after me again. You can't do that. You can't build a police department better than a police department. I mean, come on, that's the issue. These are the things that you deal with when you're dealing with people of power who are not used to dealing with people who have a brain, who are able to think out of the box and do something other than what they're used to doing. So these are just little programs that I developed while I was in the police department. Then from there, I started the multi-jurisdiction stolen auto task force. Wound up with 5 districts in the city and about 12 counties in the state, Fairfax County, state police, and FBI. FBI was giving us money to go out and buy cars from chop shops to go out and do whatever in reference to the charge people and things of that sort. And then we have run those cases through, and then you have judges that are releasing people not based on the fact that a case of the evidence is not theirs, because they're politically tied to these criminals. Come on now, we can go on all day. There are so many things. From there, I developed a field training program to help to help train police officers coming out of the academy. I had 3 trainees. 2 of the trainees basically coming out of the academy were doing search and seizure warrants, okay? And their sergeants, lieutenants were approaching them on a daily basis, asking them how to write reports because they've never done these kind of things. Who taught you this? My field training officer taught me this. Like, come on.
Yep. So we have the situation where, because you won't say it because you're too nice. But I'll say it. It's because you can't have a black man smarter than these Europeans.
Come on, man.
So we got to suppress them. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think when we had the white shirts, my suggestion at the time was, why don't we go to black shirts so we can't be seen out in the street? It'll never happen.
Wow,
It'll never happen. You're crazy. You're crazy. What are they wearing now? Okay. We could have run the police department together, me, you, and Antoine. You know what I'm saying? Boy, I tell you.
Yeah, but come on. The thing is this: how many commissioners have we had?
Too many.
Exactly. Now, what's the qualifications for a commissioner? All you got to do is have a degree, and some years in law enforcement. And really, a commissioner is mainly a politician, so you got to be able to go along with whatever the mayor says when the mayor says it.
Or as a case of Commissioner Bass was alleged to have been the love child of Stephanie Ross Blake, but otherwise not. You have to have credentials.
Hey, they call it politics. That's all I'm gonna say. And they just keep piling it on. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Ms. Green, I'm sorry. Robert, we've given you so much dose of reality, which you don't never hear. I'm sure we'll be considered to be traitors and rats because we told so much truth. But somebody need to know it. Somebody need to know it.
They say the truth will set you free, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm not employed by them anymore, so what do I owe you? Nothing but the truth. And so, Ms. Green, this is what hopefully you'll find as we promote this program, some brave soul, some brave attorney somewhere, because it's nationwide, will listen and hear, and maybe they will suggest you go to Dateline. someplace get some major exposure and embarrass the heck out of them, because